welcome. And with the 1920 season, only a few weeks ago, reached its conclusion, I thought it'd be a good time to do my top 10 players of the Premier League. I'm Football Theory. If you're new to this channel, give it a huge thumbs up if you go on and enjoy the video, and also subscribe if you haven't done already. So yeah, I've compiled my top 10 list here of star players in the season just gone. I'm going to give them their ratings based off how well they've performed overall during the season and off their statistics. So it's going to be a culmination of the two as to why they're placed in the order they are. So to kick things off, in spot number 10, I put the Manchester City goalkeeper Ederson. And for me, the reasonings behind that was not only that he had 16 clean sheets, but I feel City overall as a team had a very poor season by their high standards. And I think he was one of the star players overall for the club. I think without him, they would have had a lot more matches where they would have dropped points. I think he kept them in games a lot of times. He's an established keeper for the last couple of seasons, and to beat Alisson to the Golden Boot, that's why he's number 10. So moving on to position number 9. This one might be a bit controversial because I know he joined late in the season. He didn't have a full season, but Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes, I think, was influential in United's Champions League aspirations. I think before they had him, their midfield was starved of any quality whatsoever. But I feel with his signing in January, just gone, I feel not only did he contribute 8 goals and 7 assists, he was involved with a lot of link-up play. I think he fitted into the squad straight away. I think he's a future star for Manchester United. And like I said, they haven't got much attacking flair going forward in terms of their midfield. So I think that really helped him stand out, not only from his set-piece mastery to his long balls. He's not frightened to have a shot outside the box, and he's very accurate. So for me, it turned Manchester United back into the Manchester United of old. So that is why he got only number 9. Because I felt like if he had a full season, he might have been ranked a bit lower. But because we only got to see a glimpse of him, I think it was a promising start. So that is why he's number 9. And number 8, I feel he had a very good season, but it was almost impossible to build on what he had the season before. And in number 8, I'm talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, the young England and Liverpool fullback. I think he is the best right back in world football at the moment. That position cannot be taken away from him. I think he's revolutionised how fullbacks play now, particularly him and Robertson. I think go back 6-7 seasons ago, no fullback was playing or contributing to goals and assists the way he has. So I think he's pioneered the modern day fullback. Like I said, if you compare his stats to someone like Gary Neville or John Arne-Riise back in the early 2000s, I think the left back and the right back roles were completely different, and I think that's why Arnold's got to be included. He managed to culminate 13 assists, and he had over 3,000 passes and long balls and corners. He was just there for Liverpool when they needed him. In big games, he wasn't a player that only thrived on small end teams. He was doing it in the Champions League as well, even though that's not going to get any credit because it's the Premier League. But I'm just meaning in terms of big games, he was always there at his best. So that's why he's number 8. So for number 7, this is the only gunner that is on the list. I think Arsenal are still rebuilding. I think Mikel Arteta is certainly getting Arsenal in a step in the right direction. And of course, I'm talking about their talisman, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I think he's a proven goal scorer wherever he's been, and obviously throughout his career, he's getting to the twilight areas of his career. But he's still obviously always chasing down that golden boot ever since he came to Arsenal. And I think this season, particularly with with everything that went on, I think for him to still be consistent when he wasn't really getting the service from because the midfield was kind of getting tested and changed every week. I think he was their star player, and obviously he racked in a whopping 22 goals, and he had over 99 shots on goal. So that is why he's ranked at number 7. So for number 6, this was a surprise, I think, for players and football fans all around the world, that this what this man managed to achieve. At one point, it was looking like they were going to be relegated from that famous 9-0 defeat. And I'm, of course, talking about Danny Ings in at number 6, which is a fantastic achievement for him. Obviously, for a player to be at a club like Southampton and still challenge for the Golden Boot is absolutely phenomenal. I think he had a season like he's probably never going to have again. I think what he managed to do with Southampton, he was, I think, in my opinion, the reason they managed to survive was purely the amount of goals he managed to score. And that with being a grand total of 22. So he was one off the Golden Boot this season, which is, like I said, from a player that wasn't really appreciated at Liverpool, to go out on his own at a new club, fit in straight away and challenge for the Golden Boot was extraordinary. So that's why he's got number 6. He would have been higher, but the quality of some of the other players on my list, I just couldn't rank him any higher, even though I wanted to. I think 6 doesn't really do him justice, but that's obviously where I've placed him. And at number 5 is Virgil van Dijk, the legendary Liverpool centre-back. I think, again, a bit like Arnold, he couldn't have the same season he did prior to the one that's just gone. Obviously being up for the Ballon d'Or, I think, whereas this season, I think we saw that Van Dijk actually is human. He does make errors. He was very difficult to get past, and his best stat was his pass ratio, which was over 3,000, which was phenomenal. He really did start out from the back. He could play them long 40-yard balls up to the front three with pinpoint precision, or crossfield balls. It was just made it look effortless. He's very difficult to get past. He's quicker than you think, and he really does. If you've ever heard him on the pitch, he commands the pitch very well. He's telling players how to position themselves. The defence, since his arrival, has been like no Liverpool defence we've ever seen. So for this season, I'm ranking him in number 5 because, like I said, the quality of some of the other players were just better than him, but I think it's still a good position for him. So now I'm going to move on to the big top 4. And with this one, I've had to go for Raheem Sterling for a number of reasons. Not only because of his role off the pitch. I think he's become a role model, obviously, to young people growing up, to people who might not be as well educated in, racism and prejudice. I think what he's done off the pitch is phenomenal, but also what he does on the pitch his standard is just as good. He netted in 20 goals and had 6 assists. And I think for a player like him who's still developing, I think Pep's really managed to find his position he likes and has been able to get the best out of him. He had a good run at Liverpool, but I think Pep's really unlocked him to the next level. So I think he was phenomenal to watch last season. So that is why he's number 4. So into the final 3 now. And in this one, in my opinion, from 3 to 1, it could have been any of these. They all had justification to be number 1. But for number 3, I've had to go for the king of the assists this season, which is Kevin De Bruyne. Again, I think City had a bit of a lacklustre season. They lost out to the title in the first couple of months due to inconsistency. And of course, De Bruyne has had his share of injuries, but he still managed to control that midfield, link up the play fantastically. He had some of the best stats in the Premier League this season, netting in 13 goals and obviously led the way with the assist with 20 assists. And he hit the woodwork 6 times. His pass ratio was fantastic. Every stat you'd want in an attacking kind of creative midfielder he had. I think City wouldn't be half the team they are without him. So I think what he's doing is phenomenal. I think he's in the best form of his career. He's best level of his career. So yeah, well done to you, Kevin De Bruyne. So in for the final two now. So be interested to know what your final three was. Just let me know. But for number two, again, it might be controversial here, but for me, the reason why he's not number one, Jamie Vardy, I know he was the Golden Boot winner, but for me, he didn't contribute enough outside that. At times, I felt like he was getting isolated up there. He didn't get involved in the game too much. I know he netted in 23 goals, obviously won the Golden Boot. But for me, I'm not sure whether it was, I don't know, it wasn't really his, it was a mixture between his performances sometimes and the players around him. He just didn't get enough service in some crucial games. Some games you could watch the opening half and you wouldn't even know he was on the pitch, which is why he just managed to get second and not first, was due to his consistency. I think he's doing fantastic at, the veteran age he is. I think he's Leicester's best player by far, but for me, that is the reason why he's number two and not number one, is the inconsistency. He didn't really get started after the lockdown at all, and I think he was quite fortunate to win the Golden Boot. I did actually think Danny Ings was going to win it. So finally, the player I thought played the best and has got the crown here, but the best Premier League player in the 1920 season goes to Liverpool's Mohamed Salah. And the reasoning behind this, why he's picked it and not some of the other ones who have had similar stats. For me, the 19 goals and 10 assists, I know it's not Golden Boot winning or assist, winning, but for me, it's the amount of games he managed to achieve that. And so if you just take a minute to think that he was involved in 29 goals in terms of his assists and his goals scored, he only played 33 games. So that means there was only about 4 games where he didn't contribute to the goals, which I think is unbelievable in a season. And to be able to do this consistently, obviously he holds the record for the amount of goals scored in the Premier League in one season. Everyone thought he might have been a one-hit wonder when he achieved that, but he's been consistently getting round about the 20-goal mark every season he's been at Liverpool. I think he's changed how Liverpool play down that right-hand side. They've never had a player like him. I think his consistency hardly ever drops off. And for me, that is why he's number one. I think his work ethic as well. If you ever watch him, he's always chasing balls down. Him and Henderson. If I was going to give an honourable mention who hasn't made the top 10, it would have to be Jordan Henderson. Not due to his stats, but just due to how he captained his size and the morale he managed to keep up throughout the season, which is very similar to Salah. That is why he's won it. I think he had some amazing goals last season. It's not all about the goals for me. It's how he links up with the play. It's how he impacts the game, on and off the ball. And for me, he ticked every box. And that is why he's won my coveted crown of being the best player in the Premier League. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. So stay tuned. I'm going to be doing more reviews on seasons. I'm going to be doing the Bundesliga next. So if you're interested in your German football and want to see who's made my top 10, then please make sure the notification bells are switched on so you don't miss that. I've been your Football Theory. It's been great talking about football, and I'll see you next time on the pitch.